Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Good
All
evening.
right, just do a mic check. I know I was having some issues earlier in the day with Microsoft Teams. It doesn't like me very much, so I just want to make sure we're good for this evening's call. So again, thank you for joining us. We'll start shortly. I know Dean Crable is going to join us right at 7, so thank you for joining. I'm so excited for this call, and it's going to be an informative call, and I'm so glad so many of you were able to join, are going to join this call. And if you don't mind, if you'd like to share a little bit about your name, who's your student, their class, or when they're graduating, their major, and where you're from. You don't have to share, but they say sharing is caring. So I shared my info. So if you like, please do so in the chat.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Dean. We're just going to give a couple more minutes. I know some of our families are juggling many activities this evening if they're cooking or driving their other kids to sporting activities. And so we're just going to give them a couple more minutes before we start. And if you put your camera on, there might be a prize for you as well. There might be a ticket to a men's basketball game if you turn your camera on. Just saying. And incentivize camera viewership. There you go, Zane. All right.
I need to get on.
There you go.
Game. I need to get free game in.
Thank you for joining us, Zane.
Absolutely.
Thank God they won last night.
Yeah, it was a
We
must
needed
win.
that.
Definitely.
Stop the bleeding a little bit, I guess.
Absolutely.
Good for morale. All right. Thank you, Dorothy. I know some of you can't come on camera because you're doing other things, but that's fine. I'm just happy you're on the call. We do like to see faces, so.
Don't worry, we say the same thing to your child as well in the classroom. So.
Is it mandatory?
Oh man, if they don't have the cameras on, it's very challenging to teach in an online environment, I can say.
No question about that. We like to see smiles. Dean Crable, I'm just gonna wait maybe 3 more minutes. I know we had a good response, so we'll probably start around 7:02 if that's fine with you.
That works for me. Thanks,
Okay.
Sandra. Appreciate it.
All right. You're welcome. Again, if you'd like to share who you are, your first name, who's your student, their name, grad class, their major, and where you're from. Thank you, Mrs. Paz. Hope some of you are calling from warmer climates. We might bring some more warmth to us because we are, as I would say, when I'm from Brooklyn, so we would call this is brick right now. I don't know what's the temperature. I think it was at we're 18 degrees right now. So
It's
if you're
cold.
If you're
Yeah,
calling
I
from
think
sunny California, I think we had a parent calling from Hawaii. You know, if you're under a palm tree, please put yourself on camera. We would love to see you.
I think we should have relocated the webinar to one of these warmer climates, Sandra. That's sort of what I
Yeah.
think.
I think we could do that with our background designs. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna give it another minute. I see some folks are joining.
Okay, we're in.
All right. Thank you, Ray. Ah, Tara Beth. You're from California. Awesome. I was actually talking to an alum he's in Florida. He said they're dealing with a freeze right now. It's like 38 degrees. So I think we're all suffering to a certain degree.
I'd take 38 right now, I'll be
I know,
honest.
right? That's like a heat wave right now. Thank you, Ida Jare. Appreciate that. All right. I'll just give it another minute and we'll begin. All right. All right. I think we'll begin. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm really glad you're here. My name is Sandro Tejada, and I serve as the Director of Development for Parents and Families at Seton Hall University. I'm also here as a proud pirate parent myself. My daughter is a senior in the College of Human Development, Culture, and Media, majoring in communication. And I'm so happy she'll be graduating this May. So I'm walking this journey alongside many of you. And so before we begin, just a few quick housekeeping notes. This virtual conversation is being recorded so we can share it with families who weren't able to join us this evening. We kindly ask that you keep yourself muted during the presentation. And if questions come up, feel free to place them in the chat or hold them during our Q&A portion of the call. I'd just like to take a moment to share a bit of context about the broader moment Seton Hall is in right now. Recently, the university hosted a For All Forever campaign roadshow event at the Montclair Art Museum. While I know none of the families that are joining us tonight were able to attend that gathering, it was a meaningful opportunity to highlight the priorities shaping Seton Hall's future and to elevate the voices of our faculty and our students. And at that event, Dr. Bryan Crable, our founding dean of the College of Human Development, Culture, and Media, spoke about the academic vision and priorities that support student success, many of which directly impact the students that are represented on this call by you. We also heard from a student MC who truly embodies CHDCM experience, Niam Campbell. Niam is a co-captain and Division I student athlete on the Seton Hall women's tennis team, a junior majoring in visual and sound media with a concentration in sports media, and an on-air talent and producer for the Pirate Sports Network. Her story reflected the interdisciplinary learning, leadership development, and hands-on opportunities that defines the college. Tonight's conversation builds on that same spirit, giving families the opportunity to hear directly from Dean Crable about the college's approach to interdisciplinary education, experiential learning, and preparing students for meaningful careers and lives of purpose. Now it's my pleasure to formally introduce Dr. Bryan Crable, founding dean of the College of Human Development, Culture, and Media. We're grateful for his leadership his vision, and his willingness to spend time with us this evening. Dean Crable, thank you for being here, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks so much, Sandro. And
welcome.
thanks everybody for being here. It's really lovely to see folks who are on camera and also to know if you can't be on camera, I know that's all right. We wouldn't give your students a pass, your child or children, but we'll give you a pass. So if you have the camera off, that's all right. But it's lovely to see the folks who are here and to know that everyone's willing to take a little time to listen to the dean. And I think I have a lot of fun things to share, and I'm happy also, to talk about the college, talk a little bit about sort of my background, and then also, answer questions, talk about things that are going on in the college. I'm excited to be here with you all. I've been at Seton Hall for about 2.5 years. This is the second half of my third year at Seton Hall. I do have to say, in regard to the temperatures that we are currently dealing with in New Jersey, I grew up in the Midwest, spent a lot of my formative years in Indiana. I left Indiana not quite 30 years ago, and I'm very disappointed that the weather decided to sort of follow me to New Jersey 3 decades later. I'm not here for that. I'm ready to move on. So thank you so much, Indiana. Let's give the weather back to you all, like where you can enjoy it and know how to handle it. But I graduated from Purdue University a very long time ago. My first faculty job was at Villanova University down the road in Philadelphia, which is why I left the Midwest a very long time ago, quite happily. But while I was there, I was a faculty member. I was a department chair in the Department of Communication. We built it into a really strong communication department. And while I was there, I also created and then directed an endowed institute focused on communication and social justice, the Waterhouse Family Institute, and ran that for about 15 years. And when I got to sort of the point where I had the institute where I wanted it to be, nationally recognized, those kinds of things, I started to look around for other opportunities. And one of the things that I found really exciting was the call for a founding dean here at Seton Hall for the College of Human Development, Culture, and Media, or CHDCM. And don't worry, we will not ask you all to say it 5 times fast with me. We'll hold off from that. But what I found really exciting was sort of the vision for this college. I can't take responsibility for the name or the cumbersome acronym. But what I can take credit for, or I guess take ownership of, is sort of what we've done for the past 2.5 years. And the idea behind the creation of the college was to take 2 very strong but very different academic units. The College of Communication and the Arts, which is a very strong undergraduate college, but small graduate programs. And then the College of Education and Human Services, which had a very large set of graduate programs and a relatively smaller, sort of comparatively undergraduate student population. And so the idea was to create a strong undergraduate and graduate college through bringing these 2 groups together. To my mind, as sort of dean, what I found really exciting about this is sort of really thinking through the ways in which these disciplines all fit together. And so as I like to talk about it, our 5 key disciplines are the arts, communication, education, leadership, and mental health. And that's our portfolio. And when I think about the college, I think about how do we create ways for our students to explore the intersections between and among these different disciplines. How is it that we see mental health and communication fitting together, or leadership in the arts, right? Or talking about education and technologies, right? There are all kinds of ways in which these disciplines fit together. And also, and if you all remember from probably seeing me at the open house, one of the things that I like to sort of talk about is the kinds of problems that we're facing both as a nation and as a global community. To my mind, the 5 disciplines that form the CHDCM are really at the heart of a lot of the problems we're struggling with. And so what I've seen sort of my task to be as dean is to really try to bring folks together, right? Like create a new culture, create a new college, but also create programs and opportunities that really give our students an education that is unlike any other. And I think, these kinds of things take time, but I'm happy to say that 2.5 years in, I think we've really accomplished a great deal. I also think we've done a lot to really capitalize on or really realize the interdisciplinarity of the college. So we have some new programs coming, and at the same time, we also have some really amazing experiential opportunities available to students in the college. And for students in our education programs, those are clinical placements, things that we're working on developing and building all the time, creating more and more relationships with K through 12 districts. For our students in communication, media, and the arts, our other undergraduate department, It's really about experiential learning in the form of internships. How is that we can provide really cutting edge internships for our students that give them a leg up and give them an experience in the professional world that sets them apart from their peers. And so that's a lot of the work we've been doing over the last 2.5 years, and then also really building some of our co-curricular organizations and opportunities as well within the college. One of the things that I left out is, like Sandro, I am a CHDCM parent. So I belong on this webinar as a viewer and not just as a participant, but Sandra said I had to actually talk. So yeah, my son is a first-year student in the college, and one of the things that he's really excited about is WSOU. That was one of the things that got him excited about coming to Seton Hall. He's in his second semester working at the radio station. I don't mean to brag, but the Princeton Review did name it the #1 college radio station in the country. So, I mean, who am I to question the Princeton Review? But so he's experiencing his second semester there, really loving his time in the station. Again, the station's been on the air since 1948 and has really created a generation after generation of really talented media professionals, people who got their start at the radio station. But we've also done some new things too. There had previously been an activity or a club sort of thing for students interested in video production called Pirate TV, but it's sort of fallen on some hard times and needed to sort of really be rethought. And so our college, the Office of the Dean, took a step back and said, how could we build something different that would allow our students to really engage with media production, but in a way that would also give them ownership? In some of the same ways that WSOU has a real student culture of student leadership. How can we do the same thing in video production? And the result is Shoe TV. I know some of the families on tonight have a son or daughters involved with Shoe TV. That's been a really fantastic thing for our college the last couple of years. They now are doing live broadcasts as well as sort of on YouTube to watch whenever. And it's been really exciting to watch that grow. So one of the things I've been really excited about is seeing those kinds of things flourish. And then also one of the things that I'm excited about is our Center for Sports Media. Something that I think has really begun to bring us into national prominence. It's led by BJ Schechter, a really renowned journalist. He worked at Sports Illustrated for a long time. He was part of Baseball America. I actually had seen him on TV, I think on an NFL broadcast before I actually met him in person. And BJ is doing an excellent job as director of the center. And the center, of course, was the vision and in many ways the creation of one of our most prominent alums, Bob Lee, who I grew up watching on ESPN. And certainly his show Outside the Lines was something that I grew up with when I was much younger. Bob was one of the first people to reach out to me when I got the job as dean at Seton Hall. And he's been a fantastic partner. One of the things that's been really nice about the Center for Sports Media is it's created opportunities for our students that no one else has. We have a partnership with ESPN that no other university has. They don't want us to brag about it too much because they have contracts with folks in the SEC and the ACC due to broadcast their football games, and they don't want to make them too upset. But I can tell you that we have dedicated interns from the CHDCM, one in the fall and one in the summer, and those are devoted to Seton Hall CHDCM students. No other university in the country has that. One of the other things that's really exciting is this spring, we're starting to kick off other aspects of that partnership with ESPN. Our students are going to be, in many ways, serving as a kind of focus group and innovation lab for ESPN. They're going to be sort of the audience for pitches that ESPN is going to make to our students, and our students are going to get the opportunity to sort of project pitch to ESPN executives. In addition, we have a really robust professional in residence program. This past fall, we had Amy Rosenfeld, the Senior Vice President for Olympics and Paralympics for NBC Sports. She co-taught a course with BJ, the center director, on live sports production. And part of what she really focused on was, how do you show the Olympics, right? How do you broadcast that on television? And 4 of our students from that class were selected to intern for the Winter Olympics next month. In addition, Amy is also already working quite hard on the LA Games in 2028, the Summer Olympics. And she already has told our students, get your resumes together because I'm going to be looking for really great folks. So the center's doing some really amazing things that other folks around the country are just not doing. And it's creating opportunities for our students that no one else has. So we have our Pirates in the Field program where our students are engaged in hands-on experiential learning, serving as credentialed journalists for some of the biggest sporting events on the calendar. So we have 2 students set to leave this weekend for the West Coast, and they're going to be covering the Super Bowl all week from Santa Clara, San Francisco, along with BJ. My Eagles are not there because we have a terrible offense, but we have 2 CHDCM students there representing us, and I'm really excited about that. We have students going to the Big East tournament. They're going to be at the women's Final Four. We're going to have students at the World Cup. BJ's talking with the NFL about getting some of our students credentialed to serve as press at the NFL draft. All kinds of opportunities like this that, to my mind, are really exciting because they give our students once in a lifetime, one of a kind experiences that no one else has. And one of the other things that I'm really excited about is mentorship within the college. And we can certainly talk more about that as we go along. But one of the things that I find really exciting is thinking about how can we support our students and how can we mentor them into the kinds of professionals that we know that they can be and that they're going to be. The folks in communication have had a mentorship program for now about 17 years, the CHAMP program, which matches students typically in their junior year or senior year with an alum of the college who's 10 or more years out in the field. And that's something that's been really strong and a really great opportunity for our students, and really connects our alums. As I like to say, like pirates give back, right? Pirates pay it forward. And so the students who once were in the classroom are now, years on, respected, esteemed professionals in the field, and they come back in order to help the folks who are where they once were. We had the kickoff for the communication students last night. It was one of our largest groups ever, and it was really exciting to see the students talking with their mentors, talking with other mentors around the room. We did a speed mentoring sort of activity, and that's been a really fantastic program, and something that I think gives our students a leg up in terms of finding internships, advice on how to handle interviews, how to put a resume together, and then things that have led directly to jobs for our students in communication industries. And at the same time, I'm dean of the whole college. So when I came in and learned about the mentorship program, one of my first comments was, that's fantastic. How do we spread it across the college? And so I'm pleased to say that last year, we debuted the expansion of our CHAMP program to our students in educational studies, doing K through 12 teacher preparation. One of the things that if you have a son or daughter who's in the teacher prep programs, like these programs lead to licensure. You do a lot of student teaching. Our students do more student teaching than I think anyone else in the region, maybe even in the country. I'm not even sure. We do a lot of student teaching. Our students come out thoroughly prepared. But that means they've had a lot of oversight in the classroom from their supervising teacher, their cooperating teacher, their faculty member at Seton Hall. And so they get a lot of it during their undergraduate years. So as we expanded our mentorship program to our students in educational studies, part of what we realized was the model had to change a little bit. And so thinking about how do we best support teachers? How do we keep them in the classroom? How do we prevent sort of early departures, career changes, early burnout? To my mind, one of the ways to make that easier is to mentor folks into their first classroom. I've never taught in the K through 12 context. I do not care to teach in the K through 12 context. I'll be quite honest. I've had a K through 12 child. God bless the teachers, but like I don't want to be one. But at the same time, right, I remember teaching for the first time. And the first time that I entered the classroom as a graduate student and I walked in the classroom, this is my room, and all the eyes swiveled toward me, is like, whoa, this is kind of a wild moment, right? Like, this is intense. And so like having that experience and thinking about how do you support someone who's undergoing that sort of moment. What we did was create a program for our graduating seniors. So our graduating seniors in ed studies who have jobs starting off in the fall, they're going to graduate in May and they're going to start teaching, in August, September in a K through 12 classroom. Well, how do we ease that transition for them? And what we decided was the best thing to do was connect them over that summer with someone who has been out in the profession at least 10 years. Seton Hall has so many education programs, and we have been educating students to be teachers for New Jersey and the world since over 100 years, 1925. And so that means we have folks who have been teachers and are teachers all over the state. In addition, we have graduate programs in ed leadership. And what that means is we have principals and superintendents all over the state as well. So our alumni network is teachers, principals, superintendents, and we got a group of them to volunteer to be mentors for our new teachers graduating with their certification, ready to enter the classroom. And so I'm really excited about that as the expansion of mentorship for our students in education. So as you think about like how we can support our students, we're doing a lot within the college already in terms of creating academic programs that capitalize on interdisciplinarity. And I could certainly talk about that. We have some really exciting new things coming down the pike. We are also creating new and really more exciting experiential learning opportunities, clinical placements, internships. We're setting up things like the Center for Sports Media that no other university has. And we're creating mentorship structures that are really innovative and are designed simply to help our students professionalize and enter the work world. And those kinds of things to me are really exciting because what we're here for is our students, right? We're here to make our students into better versions of ourselves, right? Like how can we pass on the knowledge that we have, but also equip them, give them things that we weren't given when we were in school and make them succeed that much more thoroughly. Giving a leg up is sort of what we're all about. And so we've done a lot of things within the college to really try to help make that work. And from their entry to Seton Hall to the time they graduate, we're really excited to support them in every way possible. We even have a dedicated Office of Student Success that is focused on helping our students in terms of advising support, in terms of connecting them with resources on campus, in terms of our mentorship program, in terms of experiential learning. We have an Office of Fieldwork and Certification within Student Success that helps with experiential learning, internships, placements, and also assists with the certification process as well. So I'm excited about a lot of things in the college, and I'm excited most of all about how we've been able to support our students in so many different ways. I can tell you that, I know what a 19-year-old is like. They're interestingly communicative. Sometimes yes, sometimes not so much. I can tell you my son is really enjoying his time in our college. I think he would feel free to complain to me if that were not the case. And he's having a really good time. I hope your child or children are enjoying it as well. I know Sandra has told me really great things about his experience as a CHDCM parent. I'd be happy to hear about the experiences you all have had. I'd be excited to hear about things you'd like to hear more about, questions. Basically, from my perspective, I'm here as dean to say we're doing great things. We're really invested in your child's success, and we're looking forward to seeing them as superstars out in the world. So anything we can do to help support that, that's something that I'm here to do. But again, I appreciate the fact that you trust your child to us. I don't take that decision lightly. Again, my son's in college right now, and I know you didn't as well. I appreciate your trust in us, and I'm really excited that your family is part of our college community.
Thank you, Dean Crable. Now we'll open it up to questions. I know Danny Florence had her hand raised from the get. So if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question, or if it's a comment, feel free to ask. And any other parent, feel free. Danny, would you like to unmute and ask your question? No? Okay. I see Maureen McBride has her hand raised. Feel free to unmute yourself. And oh wait, Danny, are you there?
If your audio is not working, you could drop it in the chat too. I'd be happy to answer a question if you put it in the chat too. Oh, I can't hear you, Danny. I'm sorry. I see you waving. I can see your face, but I can't hear you. No. If you want to drop a question in the chat, I'd be happy to answer that though. All right. Maureen, I see your hand is listed as second, right?
Yep. Feel free to ask a question.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I think their mic probably isn't on. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm used to Zoom. I have to remember Microsoft
Teams is
different.
terrible. I hate Teams so much.
You just get into the groove of,
Yeah.
going glow. Anyway, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Crable, and also Sandro for setting this up tonight.
You're welcome.
So my daughter is Alana Gribben. She's a junior.
Okay.
She goes by Lonnie on campus.
Okay.
She's very involved. She's in PRSSA. She's a public relations major.
Great.
She's a junior. And her plate is really full. She takes 18 credits. She has a part-time job, very involved in her sorority. And she has 2 leadership positions. And I can't believe I forgot them right now. Besides the sorority, she's in PRSSA.
Okay.
I believe she's the social media coordinator for that. And then there's the Honor Society for Public Relations.
Short Lambda Pi Eta, the
Yes.
Communication Honor Society.
And I forget, I should know this, but it's been one of those weeks and I've been sick. She has another position with them. So having said all that, she's in second semester of her junior year, and she really would like to have an internship this summer. I heard you mention about like the communications forum last night, which would have been great. I think she was working last night. She works in downtown at a restaurant. But anyway, so she didn't, I'll ask her later, but you know, she's also 20, and I try not to get on her about anything. She's at this amazing university to take advantage of what you offer. But I do, she wants to get an internship. So I guess my question is it too late for this summer? And the other thing you mentioned, which I wasn't aware of, is the mentoring program. I mean, my hat's off to Seton Hall. I think that is such a great program. Again, your access to New York City with the deep alumni that I know is very dedicated and loyal to the future of, you know, Seton Hall graduates. So what do you suggest at this point?
It is definitely not too late for summer. Summer is still very feasible. It's too late for the semester, right? The spring, we're already sort of underway. And so if you're seeking an internship, and typically companies like you to be receiving college credit for internships, and it's kind of late to be doing that at this point.
Oh yeah, Cher says, you know, taking 18 credits until it's a lot.
That's plenty. Oh yeah, plenty. But summer definitely is not too late. We have a lot of help, both in terms of career services, also in terms of our Office of Student Success, which you can tell Lonnie, I think you said, right?
Yeah, Lonnie, yeah.
I'm terrible with names, to be honest.
I mean, she's Alana, but when she went to Seton Hall, she changed it to Lonnie. Okay. So all I said to her is, when you graduate, it needs to say Alana Eve Gribben on your diploma, because I gave birth to you, you know?
I hear you. I always say to our son, like, my wife made you out of cells in her body, and that's the thanks you give to her, right? But so anyway, I hear you. But what I would suggest is she go to our Office of Student Success over in ANS 202, Arts and Sciences Hall, second floor. That's where our CHDCM Student Success Office is. We have our folks in fieldwork and certification there that can certainly help in terms of giving her a sense of like how do internships work, how you go about the process. We also partner a lot with career services in terms of providing opportunities, software, interview prep, like those kinds of things for students in the college as well. And so they can be a good source. And the thing that I would also recommend is as she gets involved in things like PRSSA, it sounds like she already is. One of the I guess I would say exciting developments that I would report is one of our really great alums, Ernie Newitz, recently retired as a communication executive from Johnson & Johnson. And what he said to me was, I want to do for PR what BJ is doing for sports media. And so he's working with us starting this spring. He is taking over leadership of our Latour agency, which is our sort of nonprofit PR agency but essentially staffed by our students. Ernie is truly tremendous. He is a very engaged alum. He is going to be working very closely with the students and faculty in public relations. He is someone who knows everyone in public relations and is going to be a great source of advice in terms of where should you look for internships. These are great people to contact. He is right now doing a lot of outreach to help our faculty figure out how best to sort of really tweak our curriculum to make it sort of the best it can possibly be. And so he's talking directly to recruiters for public relations or communication kinds of jobs to find out the skills that they're looking for. He's also then, of course, spreading the good word about Seton Hall's programs. But so he's going to be full of good advice as well. And so he's someone who's, again, going to be working with the Latour agency. He's going to be working with our students and faculty. He's been going to be doing also a couple of masterclass presentations as well. And so I would suggest that when she has an opportunity to talk with him, seek him out and like pump him for whatever information he is willing to give, because he's super generous with his expertise and insight. He loves Seton Hall. He and his wife met at Seton Hall. He is committed to us. He's really excited to support our students and faculty in public relations. I think he'd be a great resource.
Okay. Did Latour, thank you so much. Did Latour also do something in New York, maybe at the beginning of, fall semester, where they had some people, because Alana was there and she ended up meeting the editor of Time Magazine, and she was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So that was a great evening, she said.
Totally. Oh, and then the last thing I will say, Maureen, is it is not too late to be involved with Champ her senior year. We have students who get involved with Champ junior year, but then next fall, I think it's typically in October, we send a call out for students to apply for participation in the Champ program. I would recommend she look out for that email in October, and then that would set her up in the spring with a mentor in public relations. Ernie, for example, has served as a mentor and Champ for a long time. And that person, as she's getting ready to graduate, will be a great source of advice for her.
Okay. So just to recap, thank you for all this information. So she can still apply for an internship for fall. She can go to Career Student Services, et cetera. And then also she'll be eligible through this CHAMP program October of 2026 for her senior year.
That's when the applications, when the applications will come out, and then it always kicks off in January and runs the spring semester. Great. So the spring of her senior year, she'd be in really great shape.
Yep, because she's also worried, like I'm sure a lot of students, about AI, and is she going to still be able to get jobs and all that?
We're still going to need people. Like that is very true. One of the other things, and I know it looks like Dorothy is next. We'll get to you 1 second. This is, I think, a good message for all parents. I just sort of want to say this: when your child comes to you and says, "I'm a senior, it's October, I don't have a job yet, I'm starting to panic. All my friends have jobs." One of the things to keep in mind is some fields hire very early. Students who are in the School of Business, for example, typically are hired like months, 9 months, a year in advance, like all those kinds of things. Communication careers are not like that. Communication jobs, when you are hired for a communication job, they want you to start immediately, right? The same thing is true of like a K through 12 job as well, right? Like they want you to start at this defined time.
Sure.
So if your child comes to you and says, it's fall of my senior year and I don't have a job, think back to this conversation and be able to provide them the advice: do not panic. That is okay. This is a different job cycle than other fields. And within communication or public relations, they're going to look to hire you and then have you start in 2 weeks or something like that. So you wouldn't get that job in October. You would get that job in May or June or something like that. So if your child has that anxiety, just reassure them this is natural. Your friends may have jobs, they're in different fields, that is okay, but that is not you.
It's almost like the college admissions 4 years later, like this one got into school, I haven't heard yet.
Exactly.
Thank you very much for your perspective and your insight. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Maureen. And Dean Crable, it's Mr. Adejare that's next.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Yep. Oh, yeah, yeah.
No,
sorry.
that's okay.
I'm seeing the numbers wrong.
No, you're good. Mr. Adejare, if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, actually, it's been a good session. And the last conversation began to delve into my curiosity, which is that, as students, first of all, I'd like to know more about the possible internships in New York City, so for my daughter. So that's one.
Okay.
And then,
can you tell me what her major is?
Media.
Okay.
Yeah. And how do you see the job prospects? 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now.
I'm sure.
Are we all going to be replaced by AI?
AI is troubling in a lot of different ways, but no, I genuinely do not think that AI is going to replace the jobs that our students are going to be doing. I really genuinely don't. I think that there are a lot of things that are currently being talked about as AI that are just simply the use of computers. And I think the true sort of use of AI is in very specific kinds of contexts. I think going to the future, we'll see what kinds of transformations these bring, and there are a number of kinds of questions we can raise about that. But I genuinely think there are going to be a lot of need for folks who work in communication and media fields. One of the things that you consistently see in employer surveys when they talk about like what kinds of skills are needed for sort of the workforce, communication skills, teamwork, collaboration, right, like organization, project management. These are the kinds of things that students in communication, media, and the arts routinely learn as part of their classes. And so a student who is coming out from one of our media-related majors, whether that's journalism, public relations, and advertising, whether that's art design, interactive multimedia, that's my son's major, whether it's visual and sound media, there is going to be demand for students who have the very specific skills that our students have. It is also the case that students in communication can find themselves in sort of corporate careers or business careers. It is not necessarily the case that one has to go directly from business school into a business career. So I do know folks who have graduated from communication programs who have ended up going in directions that they may not have anticipated because they had skills that made them very marketable for a number of different careers. So I really genuinely think that that AI is a complicated subject, and I have certain feelings about it, and we all probably as a culture should have a number of feelings about it, frankly. But I do not think sort of the alarm over all of the jobs that people do are going to be sort of turned over to machines. I don't really think that that is the case, because when you see the difference between AI generated content and person generated content, especially when we're talking about things related to media, whether that's coverage of sporting events, whether that's artistic products, whether that's journalistic products, advertisements. I mean, there are a lot of things that you still need to have the kinds of skills that people have and that machines replicate and can do versions of, but it's not the same thing. In terms of internships, there are a number of different internships that our students do in New York. Seton Hall is a top 5 school in the country for internships, and that's because of the proximity to New York. And in some ways, the kinds of things that are open really vary based on the nature of the career you're interested in. One of the things I do always tell students is, you know, even if you hate your internship, that is valuable because you learn, I do not want to do that. Right? That can be an incredibly valuable experience. A much better experience than getting your first job, being 6 months in, and then saying, wow, I really hate this, right? Because then you've got a different sort of problem on your hands. But so I do always encourage students to explore internships because they can learn a great deal about themselves. Both, you know, I like this, I don't like this, sort of either way, it's important. But when you talk about communication related fields, there are so many different kinds of internships you can do. For someone who's interested in journalism, you know, we have students who intern at radio stations, at television affiliates, that that intern for networks, all different kinds of things like that. We have alums who are setting up opportunities for us all the time. We have, for example, an alum who right now is running an apprenticeship program for our students this spring. His family runs a production company, has run a production company for 3 generations now. He pitches shows to Nat Geo, the History Channel, those kinds of outlets, both domestically and internationally. And he's teaching our students, how do you go about entering the TV production business, right? And he also has internships in his company. We have another alum who has her own startup related to anime and manga. And she is very much interested in interns working in her company. We set up an internship last year with Catholic Charities doing work in social media, right? So those kinds of things are available. For students interested in sports, we have all kinds of internships with either networks, again, like I said, like ESPN. We have students interning at NBC Sports, Fox Sports. We have students interning with Major League Baseball, with Harris Blitzer, all different kinds of opportunities like that. But for students interested in other kinds of production, you know, folks interested in radio or podcasting, we have folks doing internships in all different kinds of audio companies, both in Northern New Jersey, also in the New York City area. In some ways, the thing about communication internships is there are so many different kinds of them, depending upon which part of communication and media you'd be most interested in. The advantage we have with Seton Hall is North Jersey and New York City have a tremendous amount of companies, organizations, outlets, networks, et cetera, all of which are doing that kind of work. And all the time we're looking to try to create more. I have a meeting with Netflix, I think it's next month, for us to try to talk about getting internship opportunities there. I can't guarantee that that's going to happen, but we are trying all of those kinds of things. So And I was just talking today with one of our Dean's Advisory Council members who's talking about setting up a global internship with CNN International. And so we're constantly exploring new opportunities for our students. So a student interested in media in one of our majors within the college, there's going to be a wealth of opportunities.
Yeah.
And Dean Grable,
just as a quick follow-up to that.
Yeah.
Right now, what would you say is your placement rates within 6 months of graduation? Like, is it 70%, 90%, 95% within 6 months of graduation?
I don't know the exact figure out of hand. I don't know if you know, Sandro, but I believe it's in the like 90s. I don't think it's anywhere near the 70s. I think that isn't that right?
that's close to it. So from last, what I recall is about 96% from 6 months of post graduation. I'll find that information. I think it's on the Career Center. Actually, I shared in the chat the link to the Career Center. Something that you should ask your sons and daughters: have you visited the Career Center? Because that's probably the first place they need to go in regards to learning, building their resume, building a LinkedIn profile, using the search engine that we have now, which is called 1220. So utilizing the resources that are available is something, as a parent, you should be asking your student. And that'd be the first question once you get off this call: hey, have you been to the Career Center recently? Because that's where it begins in regards to job search, internship opportunities, and things of that nature. And I listed some of the events that are coming up in regards to the Career Center that presents these opportunities for your students. So,
thank you.
Thank you. Dorothy, thank you for being patient.
Oh, that's okay. I just more of a statement. I just wanted to say that my daughter went her first 2 years. She was, doing fine, but kind of, not too excited about it. But her involvement with the Center for Sports Media has changed her whole experience 1,000%. She is so excited for a career in sports media, and she has been doing some really great things. And she was one of the kids that got an internship at ESPN and just really made the most of it and made a ton of contacts. She's also the president of PRSFA, Maureen, so she must work with your daughter. So I just wanted to thank you and for all the people that are involved with that, because it really has made a difference in her college career, her college experience, and I think it's really going to help her set her up for a job or a career in the future. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. And yeah, I mean, I as dean, I don't necessarily get to meet enough students. I know some folks, I know some students by sight, I know some students by name, but I don't always know everybody. Jackie, I do know because of things like the ESPN internship, and you're being like super modest, Dorothy. Jackie was the first intern from CHDCM at ESPN, and really blazed the trail for the students to follow. And one of the things that I always say to students is, when you have high profile opportunities like this, like the ESPN internship, in many ways, like the students who are selected for these opportunities have the responsibility for it to live on for others, right? And so it's because of the good work of the students that we have in these internships that future students get these opportunities. And so I do also want to say, Jackie rocked it, and she made it possible for future students to be in that internship. And so, I mean, hats off to her. But yeah, definitely, she's a great example of someone who, as I understand it anyway. And she may, who knows, she may talk to her faculty or people at Seton Hall more than she does to you. I think my son does, certainly, more than he does to me. But my understanding is she wasn't really interested in sports. Like, that just sort of wasn't her thing. But she was interested in public relations, journalism, and so went out for the internship and just had a transformative experience. And when I talk about like really learning about yourself in internships and really finding like, this is what I love, this is what I don't love, that's a really great example of someone who said like, wow, I sort of found myself here. So
Definitely.
yeah.
So thank you.
Oh, thank you for entrusting her to us. She's great.
Yeah. Thanks. Dean Grable, I know there's a question in the chat from Leslie. She says, thank you for an awesome update. Her son is a second semester freshman communication major, and she's excited for her son's future at Seton Hall. And I think you kind of touched upon this question, but wondering about what type of opportunities she can encourage him to pursue this summer. So if you want to.
Yeah, and let's see. Okay, yes. A second semester freshman, typically for students to get internships, they typically have to have X number of credit hours. Normally after the first year, they have enough credit hours to do that, but you do want to make sure you're looking at the nature of the internship to be sure that they're not looking for students who are more advanced. But in terms of communication, it really, from my perspective, what your son should be doing is really thinking about like what kind of industry or what kind of career might he be interested in, or what might he be interested in trying out. And so that is sort of, I guess, a bit of a vague answer, but I mean that because communication careers are so vastly different. Someone who is interested in being in public relations or advertising, someone who's interested in being in journalism, someone who's interested in being in radio or sound production, someone who's interested in being a filmmaker. These are sort of vastly different careers. And the internships that you would explore as sort of part of that would be very different. Or similarly, someone who is interested in communication and wanted to go into a career in law, for example. I've sent a lot of students in my career to law school. Someone might be interested in doing like an internship in a prosecutor's office, right? Or the public defender's office or something like that. So it can really, in many ways, kind of depend upon which sort of specific area that your son might be interested in. But my recommendation would be to certainly talk with the Career Center. As Sandra said, you know, people don't always take advantage of the resources we have on campus, right? So I would encourage him to go to the Career Center, and also encourage him to contact, again, our Office of Student Success. And that's the CHDCM specific Office of Student Success in Arts and Sciences Hall, room 202. And in there, we have our Office of Fieldwork and Certification. They do all the internship stuff related to our college. And so they could also be helpful in terms of talking about the process and talking about like, how do you get ready for this as a first year student? You know, like what kinds of things can you think about? What kinds of things can you sort of emphasize? But I would also, especially for young students, and again, this is something that my son is doing, is think about like all the different things that you can get involved in on campus. Because for students in communication, there are so many different things you can be involved in that lead directly to professionalization, right? Because we have the Theater Council and the Arts Council. I haven't even talked about theater, geez. But theater and art history, right? These are also majors that we have. So we have the Arts Council, we have the Theater Council, we have WSOU, we have Shoe TV. There's Pirate Sports Network, the athletics. That's not through us, that's their athletics. But they do a lot of work with students as well, like calling or covering games. You can think about the Setonian, writing for the Setonian. Dorothy's daughter Jackie also writes for the Setonian. Or like you can think about getting involved in things on campus that then would also be part of your portfolio for the internship you would apply for. And so those kinds of things can also be very useful. Yes. Yes, right. Okay, so I see the question in the chat. Did you want me to address that, Sandra? Yeah.
Yes, I received a couple emails from parents who weren't able to attend, so I wanted to make sure that they were able to. Yeah, and so there was a question from Kathy. I don't know if you want me to read it out, or you.
Oh, no, I see it. Yeah, about design
Yes.
majors, opportunities to attend conferences. Yes, that's something that is very much on our radar. I do not have a specific conference that I could tell you we are going to sort of plan right now. Some of the things that our office waits for is sort of engagement with faculty, in terms of faculty saying like, this is what we'd like to do with the students. I will say we had an event this past fall, our One College, One Exhibition initiative. We had 50 portraits of American truth tellers on campus, portraits by an artist. And then we did a month-long series of events sort of engaging the portraits in the series from the range of disciplines and organizations within our college. One of the activities, or one of the events that we had, was an exhibition of our students' work in design. We have it sort of posted in the O'Brien Gallery behind the theater, and also sort of in the hallway leading down to the theater. And I brought in one of my former students from Villanova, but it was a long time ago, so I think everybody let it slide. But she is the CEO of a design company, a nonprofit also that supports talented folks in the design industry. So she gave a lecture to the students also on how do you move forward in careers in design. She now created her own sort of design firm, and now is a CEO of a nonprofit with Ryan Reynolds, the actor, focused on supporting creatives who are women from underrepresented communities, folks who could use support in entering the industry. She gave a fantastic talk to our students and then talked directly with them about like the kinds of opportunities to take advantage of. And I talked afterwards with the faculty about how we could take advantage of precisely those kinds of things for our students. So what I'm currently waiting on is a pitch from the faculty in terms of this is the one we want to take folks to, but that's very much on our mind in terms of students in design. And I don't just say that because my son is in that, because he's a first-year student. He doesn't even know exactly where he's going to be. But the students who were further along, who were juniors, were talking to me about this. And so that's something that we're actively working on with the faculty.
That's a good segue into the next question that I received via email. And the question is, what does advising look like at CHDCM, and how closely do faculty work with students outside of the classroom?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And Seton Hall, I think, has a really fantastic model, right? We talk about sort of the 360 advising, right? Like sort of all the different advisors that are assigned to each of our students. You know, we have peer mentoring, we have the career advisor, right? We have like all different kinds of advisors. One of the things that we have within the college certainly is then academic advisors that are tied to a student's major. And so once we have students who have declared a specific major within the college, they're also then assigned a faculty member within the college who serves as their academic advisor. And that's a really great thing. I mean, I did it myself as a faculty member. I don't do it as dean, but it's a really great way for students and faculty to really get to know each other a bit outside the classroom, because you can find out like what students are interested in. You can answer very specific questions. Oops, pardon me a sec. You can answer very specific questions for students, which is, I think, really tremendous. But one of the other things that's nice is faculty are the ones who are experts in the curriculum. And so sometimes it can be challenging when someone from outside your major or outside your discipline tries to sort of advise students because they don't necessarily know all the ins and outs. So we have faculty from the major who are assigned as the academic advisor to the student, and they work very closely in terms of planning schedules and things like that. Out of our Office of Student Success, we also then set up faculty advising training. So we do a lot of work with the departments from the Office of the Dean's perspective to try to prepare advisors to be sort of the most effective they can be for their students. And thanks for putting the link in there, Sandra. I appreciate it. You're like crushing it with these links.
A lot of practice. I want to make sure any of our other parents that are on the call, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself, because I do have a couple other questions, and I know we're coming up on time here. So I want to make sure everyone that's on the call has an opportunity to ask if you haven't. And please unmute yourself if you have a question. All right. Great. Thank you. Unmute yourself.
How about Seton Hall alumni? Is like a formal alumni network website that could be a resource for student job seekers?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. That's something that we're sort of working on. I know we're also developing a LinkedIn group, which is also an opportunity to sort of share those kinds of opportunities as well for students involved in the mentorship program. I think that could be a really good resource as well. That's something that we're certainly building. But I think that's a great idea, Ray. I really appreciate that.
And I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce my wonderful new colleague, Zane Massey, who's on the call, who's actually working with our College of Human Development, Culture, and Media alumni.
You're a parent, Sandro. I
know. I practice. I'm sorry. I didn't want to screw it up. But Zane, who's on the call, who's really working closely with all our alumni to engage them, to share their time and their talent and their treasures. So I wanted to introduce Zane as well, who's a great addition to our team. And so I'm glad he's on the call.
Thank you, Sandro.
Zane was at the mentorship event last night too. So he got to meet some of the folks probably who may be your son or daughter.
Absolutely. You have some great young students and great children. So it's a pleasure so far in my third week to get to work with some of the families and learn about all the great things that are happening in the college. So kudos to you, Dean Crable, and thank you again, Sandro.
Oh, thanks, Zane. Excited to have you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I know we have about 6 more minutes. So again, I just want to make sure the parents that have joined us. If you have any other questions, please unmute yourself and ask away. Okay.
I know sometimes folks ask about graduate opportunities as well. One of the things to keep in mind is our college also, as I said earlier, has a lot of graduate programs. We have things that go all the way from master's programs all the way up to EDD or doctoral programs. Some are in our communication department. We have an MS degree in professional design and communication. That is a really fantastic opportunity for students. They can complete it in about a year, a little over a year, in order to sort of really work on projects that would be tied to digital media, tied to professional communication contexts. Instead of writing a thesis, they create a project that's tied directly to the professional interests that they have. We also have programs in counseling and school counseling. We have programs in education leadership. We have programs that would lead to teaching certification at the master's level for someone who did an undergraduate degree outside of educational studies and might decide they want to move into the classroom. They have a calling there. And all the way up to doctoral degrees in education leadership in either higher education or in the K through 12 context for folks interested in working in that context. Also excited to say we have 2 new degree programs coming out that'll be done fall 2027. That's when we'll launch them. One of them we're really excited about is our Learning Design Training and Technology program. As I said, like the CHDCM was created in part to bring together our disciplines and create interdisciplinarity. This is one of our first truly interdisciplinary graduate programs. It brings together folks who are experts in pedagogy, our educational studies folks, with folks who study communication technologies, our folks in UX, UI, communication technology design. And that's designed to support someone who might be interested in a career in instructional design, whether that would be working in a higher ed or K through 12 context as someone who would like oversee online curricula, right, or the use of online or electronic materials, whether that was someone who might be interested in a human resources or corporate training career, consulting career, where you end up doing sort of training internal communications, essentially training employees, right? Like that's the kind of instructional design or learning design and training that you might learn about. That program similarly can be completed in a little bit over a year, and that's going to launch fall 27. We're also launching in fall 27 a new graduate master's degree in sports leadership. That's a collaboration between our education, leadership, management, and policy faculty and our faculty in communication, media, and the arts. And that's going to be for someone interested in the sports industry, sports media industry, working as an agent, or someone interested in becoming like an athletic director, a coach, working in athletic structure in that kind of context in a leadership capacity. So those kinds of things are coming out. We're going to be really excited about launching those soon. So I mean, if your child is interested in staying on at Seton Hall past the bachelor's level, we have all kinds of options here within the college. You don't even have to leave the college. We have folks who've moved all the way through different degrees, different departments even, but have stayed a CHDCM lifer, and they're some of our favorite people, actually, to be honest, because they're around so long. You get to know them. Like they've been here for years.
We have 2 more minutes. I think we have time for one more question and I just want to share. Dave Vucaturo shared a wonderful photo of his son working the Devils game for WSOU. It's just a lot of opportunities in his freshman year. So thank you for sharing, Dave. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, WSOU is legitimate. Again, just like you, Dave, my son's working at WSOU. He's less interested in sports. He actually loves the music that WSOU plays, and he's really excited to be a DJ. But our students who do news, our students who do sports, really crazy opportunities, and we're just continuing to add those. So, but that's a great example. Our kids for WSOU do amazing work.
All right. All right, one more go around. If any last question before we end the session. If not, Dean Grable, I'll give you the last word if you want to close, if you have any closing remarks or want to share.
I mean,
anything.
I think one of the things that's really been most exciting about being at Seton Hall is getting to know the community. I think one of the things that hopefully you've heard from your son or daughter is the fact that we're a very welcoming community and we're a very warm community. I send out a biweekly newsletter. My son doesn't read it, but I think a lot of the students in the college do, because they'll post things about it on LinkedIn, or they'll talk to me about it when I get interviewed on Shoe TV. I like to celebrate the work of our students. So if your son or daughter is on LinkedIn, they can certainly connect with me. I accept every invitation to connect from a CHDCM student. Folks outside the college, not so much. I'm a little more particular. But if you're a student within CHDCM, graduate or undergraduate, I always accept that invitation. I am a lazy social media person because I am not a digital native. But if I see it sort of showing up in the first page, or let's say scroll and a half on LinkedIn, or if it shows up in my notifications, I always repost things. And so I really like to celebrate the work that our students do. So certainly encourage them to become part of the community, get involved in organizations if they're not, connect with me on LinkedIn, post things on LinkedIn. Again, we're, I think, a really warm and welcoming community. I think we're doing even sort of more and more things all the time. I'm really excited for the future of our college. Again, my son's part of it as well. I'm here along with y'all on the parents' journey, just like Sandra said. I appreciate the trust that you all have in us, and we really are trying to do the best thing possible for all of our students and give them opportunities that no one else has. And I look forward to creating more and more of those as we go forward. But there are a lot right now, and I'm excited for all the things that your student, my student, will be able to do in the coming year. So thank you again, all. It's been so good to spend some time with you. I appreciate it. I'm very grateful for your interest in even hearing from me. No one wants to hear from a dean. Why does anyone want to hear from a dean? But I'm really grateful for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for joining this session with Dean Crable. We look forward to seeing you on campus. Feel free to reach out to us via email or call us if you have any other questions. I know, Maureen, you had some questions about scholarships for current students, and we definitely speak offline about that as well. But feel free. And as I mentioned, we recorded the session. This will be available maybe 3 to 5 business days. We work at a university, so things work a little slow, but I'll make sure that you get the link to the video of the session as well. So again, thank you all for joining us, and go Pirates, and have a great evening, and stay warm if you're in the Northeast or anywhere else you're at. So thank you again. Thank you, Dean Grable. Thank you, Zane, for joining the call. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, Sandro. Thank you, everyone. See you soon.
See you soon.
Thank you very
Have a good
much.
night.
Good
Take
night.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.